someone, you know, one of the New York tabloids will mention one of my stories, and then it'll get translated, it'll go everywhere. Also on the web, keep in mind, I also archive a majority of my old stories, whether it's the Scientology expose, pit bull fighting, all these stories that I had. I have an archive of them, and hence, this is the beauty of the internet. I'm literally turning on a whole new generation to my work as a result of having it up there, and the curious can find that stuff. And that's really satisfying. It doesn't pay the rent, but people are still reading my stuff, you know, rather than it, you know, getting pulped away, you know, into the ether, like so much magazine stuff has over the years.
And you also get feedback, including you got important feedback from Darnell Riley, which led to this book.
Exactly.
Via your website.
Yeah, he, through his intermediary on the outside, he sent me a nasty email, and which led to me writing to him, which led to me speaking with him on the phone, which led to me spending a lot of time up in the Tules at Corcoran State Prison. And I'm thinking my next book may evolve out of the prisons too. I want to keep kind of close-lipped about that until I sell it. Not wood or metal or whatever.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Speaking philosophically, it's interesting how these criminals that you deal with for this book, I'm sure they're highly interested that you be an honorable person with them and live up to whatever undertakings you make. Like, no matter how low the criminal, it's still very important to them that other people treat them justly.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I don't misquote my, you know, a lot of these criminals were actual sources of mine. I don't misquote them. I give them all the respect I can muster, and I also let them tell their story. It's funny, this book, ironically, if it might have been, if Paris Hilton and all the victims to the extortions and the sex tape and the scandals and the robberies and burglaries and shakedowns and beatings, if they had chosen to speak to me, it might have been a totally different book. And as I said to, I think it was Nikki Hilton's publicist, you know, he had the gall to ask me, what does my client gain by, you know, by participating? And I said, maybe this kind of thing won't happen again. Maybe she won't get burglarized again, you know, because she actually talked to me about it, which, you know, led me to finding these criminals. Now, what happened? Less than 2 months ago, Paris Hilton's home was knocked off for $2.5 million in jewelry and cash. She just got robbed again. I mean, this could have put a stop to it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm like, you know, Mr. Crime Fighter, and I'm going to shut down crime, but maybe it won't happen again if you're willing to talk about it. As for the other thugs and miscreants who wouldn't talk to me, they get written about in this book, and they come off looking like the scumbags that they truly are. Had they spoke to me, they have a chance to help write their own story. Show me a part of them, you know, which may be interesting or romantic or something, other than, you know, the boilerplate scumbaggery that I have on them. So it's sort of like whether you're famous or you're just a low-life scum. It serves you to talk to someone for a book. I can't stress that enough. And we're coming up on union bail bonds. I just wanted you to get an exterior out of this. This is where Russian bail bondsman Alex Weisfeld was doing his business, and I can see. Hello? Look at that. It's gutted. This is the former home of union bail bonds. Alex Weisfeld is the Russian bail bondsman who had a run-in with Joe Francis, the guy who Darnell Riley put a dildo on and videotaped and tried to extort him, and is the reason why he's in prison right now. This was the guy in Russia who ran into Joe Francis and started getting him girls and drugs, and claims that Joe Francis asked him to get him a 12-year-old girl. I mean, this is one kneecap-busting motherfucker. Unfortunately, he's doing a couple of years in jail right now, too. Something about some stolen goods coming in off a ship. off the docks. I don't know the specifics of that crime. I do know he's locked up, and I do know that the old site for Union bail bonds is no more. Hey, what happened to the bail bond shop? Hello? Hey, buddy, no more bail bonds? When did he leave? 2 months? He gone, huh? He was a good guy. Yeah, he was a good guy, the Russian dude. All right, man. Have a good weekend.
I'm a preacher's kid, so I can't help always like looking at things at times morally. And one of the things that I was struck by in the sex industry was that everybody is obsessed with morality in their own way. And so like strippers look down on porn stars, like porn stars who don't do anal kind of look down on porn stars who do anal. Porn stars who do anal but do not do interracial look down on porn stars who do interracial. Women who post for Playboy look down on women who post for Hustler. And same in your book, all these different criminals, they all look down morally in some respect on some other criminal for, oh, he wanted a 12-year-old girl as opposed to getting 18-year-old girls to take their tops off. Like, isn't it interesting how even the lowest of the low, these scumbags, everyone's still obsessed with morality in their own way. Like, everybody has things that they object to and think are wrong and, like, disqualify somebody's humanity. Like, I'm thinking in particular now the story you're telling about the Russian guy was so offended that Joe Francis supposedly was interested in a 12-year-old girl.
Right. And yet, at the same time, he's all mobbed up and, you know, breaking kneecaps.
And he's providing 5 women for Joe Francis and his friends to...
You know, you're making a great point. I think that I reserve the right to judge and condemn a pedophile like anybody would. Right. However, let's look at Darnell Riley. By the time he was 15, he had murdered 2 people. An innocent jewelry store owner and his 11-year-old son, okay? It was hard to get a handle on that. How can I even talk to this guy? How can I even use him as a resource? Well, I think in the book you'll find a little passage which is particularly poignant. Heavy D, the rapper, Dwight is his real name. Heavy D said, you know, I didn't know about that double homicide with Darnell, but I will tell you this. He was 14 years old. You can't judge him on that. That's between him and God. And he makes a point, you know. Who handed him that gun? What adult handed a 14-year-old a gun? It's like, you know, there's some television which really addresses this kind of morality. The Wire, for instance, which I absolutely love. You know, who am I to judge? I mean, who knows, you know, how he wound up, you know, firing off shots in a jewelry store at 14 years old. Heavy D went on to say, it all depends where you're dropped off. If he was dropped off at Harvard, he'd be a different person. If you're dropped off in South Central, the game changes for the rest of your life.
Like, I'm a religious guy, so I look at things often through the prism of good and evil, but I rarely put people in the category of either good or evil, because all the good people I know do terrible things at times, and all the terrible people I know do a lot of good things at times, and it's just not helpful, particularly as a journalist, to, okay, this is a good person, therefore I'm going to believe what he says. It doesn't work that way. And this is a bad person, therefore I'm not going to believe what he says. Like, everyone's a mixture, right?
Yeah. I think that, you know, in the course of writing this book, I looked right in the face of evil. There was a lot of sociopathology, definitely. You know, some of these people in this book, Will Wright, this character that's still running around Hollywood, is a straight-up sociopath in my mind, because he really doesn't I don't think that he can differentiate true from false. I mean, he's such a pathological liar about everything that I wouldn't classify him as evil, but I'd classify him as institutionalizable, if you will. I'm going to go down to La Cienega here. evil was finding the guy who handed Darth